my main advice is always just live your life, because that will be your biggest canvas to draw from. That'll be your biggest set of tools. Fall in love, get your heart broken, break someone's heart, go to Italy for a summer, I don't know, go work on a farm for 3 months. Like, live your life, get into adventures.
Hello, I'm Eline Perez and you're listening to Are You an Artist? Today's episode is with Luyanda Unati Lewis-Nyawo for a conversation around acting, writing, and understanding people. Unati is a wonderful and very busy artist, so I'm really grateful they took the time to be here. If this podcast resonates with you, you can support it via the link in the description. It makes a real difference. Here is my conversation with Unati. Dear Unati, when I was looking for a voice coach, you were warmly recommended to me. During our first session, you came across as such a genuinely kind person, very patient with my struggle to relax my body, and so generous in sharing your knowledge of the Linklater voice technique. It was clear how passionate you are about your practice. I know you're an actor, writer, and voice artist, and that you've worked across TV, film, including the series Wednesday, which my dad is a huge fan of, theater, and video game. I've also listened to many podcasts you've been interviewed on. You're such a nuanced and engaging speaker, but I'm really curious still to learn more about you. Unati, are you an artist?
Yes, I am. I consider myself an artist. I've been participating in the art of storytelling through the medium of theatre, screen, voiceover, whatever it may be, for some time now, but as an actor with my physical body, for the most part, and have been transitioning into writing, into the writing space over the last period. But yes, I do consider myself an artist, yeah.
Wow. And what kind of child were you?
What kind of child was I? Loud. Loud, very naughty, some might say a little obnoxious, but just very brave, courageous, always trying to do things. I was always doing shows in the living room for my parents, or fashion shows, or making clothes out of cotton wool for my dolls, or I was always doing something creative as a kid, and I think I was really lucky that I had family that really nurtured that. Like, it was my parents who found out about the National School of the Arts in Johannesburg and then like got me an audition and sent me there, which doesn't usually happen in a lot of families who tend to not support the arts, but my parents really did. I was very fortunate. So in terms of a kid, I think it was very obvious that I was going to be creative in one way or another. I was a really curious kid. Often shy with other people, but in comfortable spaces, very like gregarious and outspoken and stuff once I get comfortable and I get to know people, but quite shy as well in like new spaces. Yeah.
Do you feel like it changed, or are you still
Do I feel like it changed?
Pretty much
I think over time I got more comfortable with the sort of practicing the muscle of self-confidence, because, part of it is a muscle, it's a practice. And just, getting more used to sort of social cues and reading spaces. But I think also over time, as I've sort of evolved as a person and as an artist and as a human being, it's not that I care less about what other people think. It's not about caring less. It's that I care more about my well-being and like what my needs are, and I care more about being in spaces where I am understood and welcomed and cared for. So if I'm in a space where that's not happening, then I'll just leave. Like, I don't have to be there. I don't have to be uncomfortable. I don't have to be miserable. It's not my portion, and that's fine.
Yeah. You first studied, I think, a BA in English literature.
Yes.
In South Africa before coming.
Yeah.
So why?
It was mainly the creative writing element. So my BA was in English literature with a specialization in creative writing. So we had to do all kinds of creative writing. We had to write a play. We had to write poetry. We had a final project where we had to submit like a full sort of 1-act or 2-act play that we'd worked on. And it covered a lot of writing styles. There was memoir, narrative, fictionalized history, all manner of things came up. I did film studies through that as well, media literacy. So it was one of those courses that when I was looking at the modules, just felt like it touched on a lot of things in quite a broad way, and then gave you a lot of freedom to then explore your project, however you so choose to explore it. It allowed me to study all that really awesome stuff and equip me with all the tools to analyze work and understand why I like something or why I don't like something, or why do I think something, why is for me something not good? What does that mean? Because it's all subjective, right? Art is subjective. But I wanted to understand why, when I was engaging with media, I would have the reactions that I had, so I could unpack it and understand what my voice was. And so that's why I went for that course in particular. And also it was correspondence, so I could do it while I was working simultaneously.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did it impact because then you train in acting.
Yeah.
How did you influence your training in a way? Because I guess you were probably responding in a different way.
Yeah, it took me a while to transition from unpacking text or understanding my training from an intellectual position to then understand it from an embodied position. That is something I spent at least the first 2 terms working through and unpicking for myself. But then once I understood that, it was much easier. But yeah, it was a process of moving from the cerebral and intellectual to the felt and the body. And it's one of those things, like Michael Chekhov will say about character analysis, it's not the similarities you need to worry about, it's the differences. So I didn't have to necessarily work hard to connect with and understand my thinking center, but I had to work harder to understand my feeling or my will center, as it were. So it was just going, oh, okay, cool, where are my strengths? But I think it did create a bit of a stumbling block for me when I was analyzing texts, because I was analyzing them academically to start with, because that was the skill set that I had.
Yeah.
And so, I'd approach a test and go, oh, academically, I'm looking at this. And actually, in a rehearsal room, that's not playable. That's not the fact we're looking for. We need to be, particularly when you're at the first stage of unpacking a text, you're not in the business of extrapolating just yet. You're just in the business of finding out. And so my brain was so trained to find out a fact and then extrapolate information from that fact. And when actually I just needed to stay focused on the facts and what was, to then build on that. But yeah, once I got my head around it, it took a little time. And obviously my tutors were there to guide and nudge and push and direct me towards what was more useful in an actor's process. But yeah, that was definitely one of my struggles, like little hurdles that I had to overcome. Yeah, it was really useful.
And were you still writing at that time?
I'd all but stopped writing for a really long time. I think I really lost confidence in my writing. I used to write a lot when I was in high school. Like, that's when I wrote my first feature. And I was really excited by filmmaking in particular. And then along the way, I kind of lost my love for it. Like, capitalism arises and you are like trying to figure out how you're going to survive and what work you're going to get. And you think you might do something maybe in marketing or more creative adjacent, but still allows you to have security. But then I found my way back. But as I found my way back more as an actor because that was sort of like something that was at the root of my creative history. That was like at its core. I'd always been acting since I was a child. So I started there. And over time, my writer's voice returned. And that felt really, really good. I think I would say, what is it, 2026 now? I think I really properly started writing again in earnest 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago,
Okay.
and really retraining that skill. Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, you have to spend, when you're an artist or a creative, you have to spend all your life in one lane. And that's how you get good at that thing. But actually, I found, particularly when it comes to storytelling, especially narrative storytelling, theater, film, drama, particularly film and television, because there's so much access and availability of it, you can watch it and respond to it pretty easily. Like, you've got streaming, you've got movies that are for free on some streaming services, etc., albeit you have to pay a TV license annually. But like, it is easily accessible in one way or another. There is a behind a paywall, yes, but you can access it. And then obviously training in a sort of drama context at the Royal Centre School of Speech and Drama, like I was exposed to a lot more theatre. But I did the BA Acting Collaborative Devised Theatre Making course that was supported by Complicite. So it was very much about being an actor, but also being your own storyteller. So I was not only being taught acting skills, of course there was a massive acting component. I was being also taught how to tell my own stories. So
Oh, wow.
autobiographical devising, novel adaptation. We adapted William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury into a play that evolved into our final year play in third year. So we were constantly learning storytelling, directing, sound designing skills like all the time. So I was engaging in that and always thinking about, oh, I might want to write this, I might want to write that, but I'd lost my confidence in it. And I felt really out of touch with it until about 3.5-ish years ago when I was like, oh no, I had this really strong idea. And I worked with a friend of mine for a little bit on it. And through that process, through then finding a collective of writers called the Messy Women Writers Collective, I got back into writing again and just kept doing it. And because I already had an innate understanding of story from an actor's perspective, it wasn't that far a leap. I just had to learn technical skills, which having ADHD really helps because then I hyper focus on stuff. I just hyper focus on things until I begin to understand that. And then also just even, a lot of writing feels like it's something that happens in isolation. And yes, that is true. But there's also so much scope for collaboration with people, particularly if you find yourself a lovely writers group where you feed back on each other's work, let's say weekly or bi-weekly or monthly or every quarter. That process where you're working with other people and, Messy Writers facilitated a lot of that. I would work with people who are at various stages in their careers, people who were writing for established television series or people who had representation to people who were just figuring it out for the first time, and getting feedback from that space and having those kinds of dialogues about your own work as you're developing it is, I think, you just learn by doing. I think a lot of my life I've learned things by doing. I struggle to learn intellectually or when somebody's explaining something to me verbally. I need to go about doing it. And it kind of feels like I got a writing education without having been on a writing course, which I feel really fortunate about. And I've had the privilege of working with some incredible people and incredible dramaturgs, incredible co-writers, incredible development executives who are championing my voice. And I just learn from them. I learn from the feedback process. I think that's where you learn. It's like, write the bad thing first, get that down on paper, and then you have a thing. Then you have a thing that you can mold. And actually the writing process, for me personally, actually only really starts in second draft. That's actually when I'm writing, because the first draft is, it's kind of like a fever dream. It's a fugue state. It's just putting everything on the page, all the thoughts, kind of like, that's why it's called a vomit draft, right? Like you just vomit it all out and you get it on the page. And then when it comes to draft 2, okay, now I'm writing. now I'm actually putting things together and beginning to clarify things and work with things. And for me, that process is always collaborative. I get as many people as I trust to read my work as possible and then listen to the feedback.
So would you have some time during your day and you're like, okay, now I'm going to sit down and write for that many hours or whatever? Or is it more like, oh, suddenly you have an inspiration and you feel like, oh, it's now, and you have to find that time to sit down and write? And
I think a bit of both. So for me, it depends on the project. Sometimes certain projects call for, having a bit more of a structure, but I find I don't have a structure. I write like a raccoon. So I'll have an idea, and over the last few years, I've kind of learned to pause when I have an idea, pause and really think about the idea. Spend a lot of time thinking, a lot of time thinking, a lot of time researching, a lot of time reading, and I call it a lot of time watching media that maybe in the genre that I'm wanting to play in, or documentary or whatever the case may be, or if there's like an exhibition or something on that I can go in person to, I'll try to do that as well. But I will spend at least about 4 weeks just consuming, and I'll make sure that during that time I'm also reading books whatever kind of book there'll always be a book on my bedside. I'm reading something, even if it has nothing to do with the kind of story I want to write. I'm just reading. I'm just consuming story, as much as I possibly can, wherever I could get it from, until eventually, for me, what will happen is the opening will come. The first scene will arrive. A character, something, and it's usually the first scene will just arrive. And then I will write that first scene. Because that's the thing that's like, oh, all of the thinking, the ideas that I've had, what the story might be about, the things that I'm wanting to explore in the world has led me to this image, to this first scene.
Okay.
So I'll write that down. And then once I have that, then I'm like, okay, cool. Now we start talking. So who is this person? Who is this person that I've put in this first thing? Why have I put them in this scenario? What are they doing? What has visited me? What has come to me? You know, a thing could open up with a person standing in a field. Why are they in the field? Well, how did they get to the field? Why is it cold? Is it what time of year is it? Who are their loved ones? Who are their friends? And from there, from beginning to ask myself questions, as the story begins to emerge, and usually quite rapidly. Once I've understood the beginning, what will tend to happen is then I'll understand the end. And then when I think about it, and I'm like, oh, all of this stuff happens, and this is the emotional gut punch. This is the story. La la la. This is gonna be great. And then it ends like this, and that's my final image. Then I'm like, okay, cool, bet, yes, bang. That's my final image. Then I have to concern myself with the middle, because then I have to get from point A to B. I've gotten from A to Z. Now I have to do B, C, D, E, F, G. Now I've got to do the middle. Yeah, and that's the bit. Then, but that is usually how I will string something together. In terms of my actual physical, actual literal writing process, I'm gonna give myself. Do not do this. It's terrible. I'm gonna give myself a bad back. But I got myself one of these like little bed desks from TikTok. It's like a little thing. And it's right by my bedside, and my laptop is usually like on my bedside window frame. And it's been charging overnight. I will have like a Red Bull in the corner and a protein bar. I only brought the protein bars in later so that I would actually eat something, because otherwise my girlfriend would just come up and go, "Have you eaten?" at like 12, and I'd be like, "No." And I will reach down the side to get little tray thing, pull it over, put it onto my bed, take my laptop, put it down, crack over my Red Bull, and just start.
Wow.
And I won't stop until I have to, really. That's an ADHD thing. That's a problem, is because it's not healthy. Like, I won't eat or hydrate or go to the bathroom. Like, my partners have to remind me to do things if I'm in a tunnel. But I'll do that for about 8 weeks, and then it's done.
Okay.
And it's done. And then I have the first draft, and then I put it into a drawer. I put it into a cupboard. I don't think about it. I don't open it. I mean, I do think about it, but I put it into a cupboard, and then I give it to other people to read. And during the process, I'm giving things to other people to read, and I'm asking questions. I'm not precious about people critiquing my work while I'm doing it, because I think it's in the critique that I then also, because it's in the being asked a question about something, because somebody doesn't understand something, that I then have to make it clear to myself.
Yeah.
Because and it's through that conversation, that dialogue, that then my story gets clearer and clearer and clearer, and then I get it done, and then we go back in, and then between drafts, I take a break.
Yeah, because I remember in one of the podcasts that you've done so many podcasts, by the way. I was like, wow. You were speaking about acting. You were saying, I cannot walk away from my tools. Yeah. And it feels like probably writing is a bit of the same, because it's in your
everyone's
head.
in here. Yeah. I can't. It's really frustrating because I want to rest. I don't want to wait. My eyes are sore. They're red. They're aching. I've got a headache. I want to rest, but something is pouring out of me, and I have to get it down on paper because they're going to keep bugging me. My notes app on my phone is just full of like character notes. Constantly. I use when I'm shooting and I have to catch flights between London and Dublin, I use the flight to make notes, and I'm constantly thinking about it. So, and even now it's in a drawer. And I've actually found space to actually not think about it, but there's questions whirling in my head. I've had all my feedback sessions, I've written all my notes into my notebook, and I'm now putting everything in a drawer. But there's still like things swirling around my head a little bit. But in a much more gentle way where I'm like, okay, I don't have to answer any of these questions yet, but it's nice that I've got them. But the main thing is I need to rest. I need to rest, and that becomes a priority. But yeah, you're right. You can't step away from your tools.
And
I can't step away from my tools, yeah.
I guess it must not be super easy as well. I don't know if you're like playing a character for a movie or and then you're also writing. So do you switch? Like, do you find it easy to kind of be like, okay, now I'm the character. I'm not thinking about my writing. I'm not thinking about any other project.
I think I've been really fortunate in that, like, I'm really lucky in that I get to work on a really amazing show, but I'm not the lead in that show. So in terms of like the number of days that I'm actually on set, like physically there shooting, it's not a lot. And I'm also at a position now where this is a repeated character. I don't have to do all that character work I had to do season 1. I've done it.
Okay.
I don't have to do all the character work that I did in season 2. I've also done that. So on that bedrock of a foundation of kind of knowing who this character is, I work on my scenes, I work on my accent, I work on unpacking my scenes, the anatomy of the scene, I work on my intentions, all that good stuff so I'm ready to play. But there isn't like, I don't have to sit down and do like, the social plane, the physical plane, like the literary plane. I don't have to do all of that heavy lifting work that takes a lot of time. That's all done because I'm returning to the same place, the same job, the same person.
Yeah.
So in this situation, I find it easy to switch. I have the space to, I can. If I were on a project where I were doing more work, or not even necessarily like more physical days on set, just having to start from scratch in my process of building the character, it would be trickier. It would be harder because there aren't enough hours in the day. It's just time. There's not enough physical time in the day to try and do both. And then I've got to manage things. I mean, I suppose over the last couple of months, that's why I kind of had burnout. I was working on my feature. I was doing second drafting on a play that's in development at the development partnership with my co-writer Pamela. I was doing second drafting with the dramaturg there, and I was shooting at the same time. And that was a lot. That was a lot, but I kind of, it was okay if I was writing, you know what I mean? It's all about the circumstances, I think. Yeah, it's about the circumstances. And in this one, I find it easy, but that's not to say it'll always stay the same, to answer your question.
Yeah. I think I had one acting job maybe like 2 years ago, a bit out of nowhere, and I had taken like no class. But now I started to take like screen acting classes sometimes. I was wondering if you had any recommendation for like baby actors who are just arriving from all your experience.
Oh my goodness. I think Film Club does a really good intro to acting for like screen acting classes. I think they do really good workshops, and I've heard incredible things from them, from beginners to like more veterans alike. I think I think they have a really good process in terms of teaching. But the other thing that I would say as like a baby when it comes to it, and this is kind of tricky because you also have to train that part of yourself that isn't hyper self-critical. But when it comes to acting, you need to know your instrument, right? And that means knowing yourself in a way that isn't judgmental, but just, I know, right? Okay. I know that my eyebrows really come close together a lot all the time physically. And that's something to be aware of, right? You know, I know that my jaw moves a lot when I speak. That's just how I am. I know that I gesticulate a lot. And from that point, then I can go, oh, this character has a much softer jaw. Their eyebrows don't come together a lot. And the way to see that is to put your phone on a tripod, on a blank wall, pick a scene from something that you like, something simple, and just tape yourself. Or start with this. I always, when I do a screen class, start with a game. Maybe you do it with a couple of pals, or you can do it with yourself. It's a little bit trickier, but it can work. I think it can. Where you pick two stories from your life. One story is true. And then another story is a lie. It's not about you, somebody else's story, or you can just tell a lie, like a straight lie. And you tell both stories back to back, A and B, the true one and then the lie. And then you give it to someone to look at and ask them which one is the truth and which one's the lie.
Interesting.
And then you listen to what they say. And you say but why? And I mean, if you don't have somebody there to maybe sometimes ask the questions, but the questions are about what is it physically, about my body, about the way that I'm speaking, about my eyes, about how long it's taking me to say sentences, pace, my breath, maybe. What is it about all those things that are telling you that I'm telling a story of the truth or I'm telling a lie? And because it's a way to self-analyze yourself in a way that isn't judgmental, it's about the exercise. And if you look, you're like, oh, when in acting, we talk about the near space, which is here. Sometimes you're fetching a thought from here. Where was I looking for again? Or the mid space, when you're connecting. The mid space is a space of connecting. You're talking to people or you're in the present moment. And then the far space, which usually connects to big ideas. God is up there. Political ideology is up there. Like, big, massive ideas. But also sometimes memory is up there. Sometimes you'll notice people will, when they're trying to remember something, they'll look up. Like, you're looking for those things, the little things that you do at the beginning is self-knowledge. What are the things that I do? Yeah.
Interesting. It's all about awareness, right? And yeah. What's the biggest learning that you've had recently from any job? Maybe let's say in 2026.
In 2026, biggest learning I've had on any job in 2026. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. And it's one that I have to remind myself every single time. It's don't overthink it. It was an exercise that we did with this guy who came through to speak about an offshoot of Michael Chekhov technique. And it was this idea about green lighting your impulses. Once you spend enough time in sort of self-knowledge, understanding what you do physically, then you understand what you do emotionally, then you understand what you do intellectually, and you go through that process, you get closer and closer to what your impulses are and what it feels like when you have an idea, what it feels like when from inside of you, you want to do something. And a lot of life is about self-censoring that. A lot of life is about stopping yourself from doing that and living inauthentically, right? But when you're acting and exploring a character, you really get to go, oh, the first thing I feel like doing, I'm going to do. That's why sometimes maybe you're doing a scene and you're in the middle of a monologue and you're like, oh, I really want to sit down. And then you don't sit down and then you catch yourself in your head and then you muck up the rest of the monologue. But just sit down. You wanted to sit down, so just sit down. You wanted to, cup that person's face, so just cup that person's face. Obviously, you will have spoken about, are you comfortable with me touching you beforehand? But you wanted to move to that point over there. Move, don't wander, don't move aimlessly, clear, concise, motivated decisions, but listening to those impulses and greenlighting them. So I think something that I learned again this year is don't overthink it. Just do the thing that you feel is right to do. And the director, there's a whole team of people there to catch you. It's not just on you. You don't have to have the right answer alone. Other people are there to help as well.
Are you interested in directing as well, maybe?
Yes, I am. I like working with actors a lot. I like directing the acting in the scenes, So and part of screen is also working with the actual, because that's motion picture, that's the picture. So there's a bit of knowledge that I need to acquire. I think I'd love to shadow some directors in the near future to pick up on those skills and understand them. But I think I'd be trusting and leaning on my director of photography a lot, because I'm really just interested in the people and how that's working, how that's coming together. Of course, I'm interested in the shot, right, or the framing. But I think I would lean on my DOP a fair amount when it came to that. But I like to work collaboratively in those ways, and it's about building the kind of relationships, meeting those people who you want to work with going forward, that you kind of understand each other's language or on each other's wavelength. But yes, I would want to. That's a project that's going to take me a couple more years, but I'll get there.
Do you write for both theater and screen?
Yes, I do. I write for both theatre and
Do you
screen.
have a
All right.
favorite one?
Not necessarily. No. I think they both have their pitfalls and their blessings. When I'm writing screen, I love screen. When I'm writing stage, I love stage. I think each story just tells you what it wants to be, what the best medium is for it. And when the medium and the story are aligned, it feels like magic. Because sometimes you can have an idea and you're like, oh, I really think this is a play, but oh, I'm going to make it a film because that feels more marketable. And then you can't write like it doesn't work, it doesn't function, because
Yeah.
actually the spirit of the story is a play, or the spirit of the story is a film or a short film or a music video or, like a visual diary or, poetry. Understanding medium and form is important, because sometimes the form is also not sometimes, all the time, the form is also communicating to you as well, and it has its demands.
So, about teaching, you also said something in one of the podcasts, which I found really interesting. It was about to make the students tired enough to get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think I do still believe that. And it's not about like brutalizing somebody until they're
Of
tired. That's
course,
not what I
yeah.
mean. It's about, I find I do my best work when I'm exhausted. Like,
Yeah.
I find when you're absolute, and it's not about getting exhausted and working yourself to the bone. That isn't healthy. But I'm still trying to interrogate what about this is works so well. But it's, you just stop caring. Like, it stops being so deep, and
Yeah.
you just have to get it done because you're tired. And something happens in that moment is I think you just start listening to your impulses. You
Yeah.
stop the critical voice. There's no energy for the critical voice to be in the room.
Yeah. I really
And
noticed
that,
it
yeah.
in because I go to like now commercial dances, and first I was terrified because I'm really aware of people watching me, and when there's filming as well, and yeah, I felt like I'm always scared that I'm gonna forget the choreography. But when
Yeah.
I'm really tired, I don't have the energy to be scared of forgetting the choreography, so I'm just focusing on
Just
the choreography.
choreography. Right? Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's so whatever that is for every artist, like interrogating it, whatever that too tired is, like, and that's why a lot of like acting classes with me is running around and doing physical things and connecting with play until you're actually just a little bit physically exhausted, which is good, because then vulnerability can happen in a way, like, it's about getting to exhaustion through play, not through self-neglect, but through play.
Yeah.
And excitement and engaging with the world. And then you're like, oh, hang on a minute, I actually don't have the bandwidth to critique myself in this, I just have to do it.
Yeah.
And then figuring out, okay, so then I don't have to critique myself in general, I can just do it, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the logical extension. And then that's the journey. And I can't help anyone with that. That's between you and your therapist.
And I'm wondering, how do you approach auditions? Because that's another
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, auditions, the audition space is mine. I've come to work. I wish auditions were compensated in some way, especially when there's a lot of work to put into them. But it's my space. You're in my space. You've created the space for me. I'm going to come and do my work. I'm going to have a play. I'm going to connect with other artists, talk about the role, like unpack it. See, particularly when you get to do in person. I miss in person auditions. Self-taping is a slightly different thing. I clear my day now for self-tape as much as I can.
Okay.
Or I clear as much time as possible just to like spend the time doing it. And I let it be the whole day, and I get to explore, I get to play, I get to look at it, have a little tweak. I get to have fun.
Wow.
It's a process of fun now, because that's also part of it, you
Yeah.
know? Because you'll often hear when actors are speaking about, and then I booked the role, they'll always talk about the audition. So the audition isn't a removed thing from the process of doing the job. It's part of it. So actually, yeah, I'm on the job. I'm having a good time exploring something, either by myself in a self-tape or with other people
Nice.
in a room. Yeah.
Do you have inspirations or recommendations of books, plays, movies?
Oh, the
or
only
one
thing that I
each?
recommend is just like live. Like your instrument doesn't have anything to draw from it if it's not full.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that I recommend the most. I suppose I usually teach at drama school, so uni level. So I am teaching like quite like younger folk. But my main advice is always just live your life, because that will be your biggest canvas to draw from. That'll be your biggest set of tools. Fall in love, get your heart broken, break someone's heart, go to Italy for a summer. I don't know, go work on a farm for 3 months. Like live your life. Get into adventures. Find your crazy stories that you wouldn't find just living in your house. You know what I mean? Obviously, late stage capitalism dependent, but live your life as much as you possibly can. Talk to people, talk to all kinds of people, get interested and curious about everyone, whether you agree with them or not. I think actors historically have been, particularly in history, not now, were some of the most kind of quite vilified people in society, because they could be in a king's court, and then the very next moment in the stables with peasants,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this weird like being able to cross lines. I'm not talking about celebrity. Like I'm like there's this weird, you can speak to everyone, and I think nurture that in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to playing a character, one day you might read a character on the page and be like, I don't like this person, but you as the actor cannot do that. You've got to figure out how to in some way fall in love with them, even
Yeah.
if they're a little terrible. And then when you're done playing them, you can go back to not liking them, but you've got to in some way fall in love with them a little bit, because in order to honor them and make them a full person, there's got to be at least understanding.
Do you feel that your kind of career changed the way you look at people, or were you always with this kind of open mind and maybe non-judgmental approach?
I think no, yeah. I don't think I popped out of the room, fully non-judgmental. I think part of my training gave me that, but also I think it was life experience when you realize that not everyone is. So you're gonna be the villain in someone's story. No one's perfect. Like, not everyone's trying to get out to get you, but they're also just processing their own stuff.
Mm.
And when you take those lessons back into your work, you go, oh, okay, cool. That just makes my work even richer. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean about living. It's been a journey for me to get to this place of non-judgment. I mean, I still have my judgments, right?
Of
Like, I'm not
course, yeah.
perfect. But when I come into the work, I have to take those preconceived notions off. And then I try and then do it in my daily life. Because the thing this Athol Fugard says is, storytelling or writing, and I even think acting is about cannibalizing life. You meet someone, you see a person across the street, and you're like, that's really interesting. I'm seeing this person across the street standing, they're wearing their red hat and they've got this look on their face. And then you just begin to ask yourself questions about that. And if maybe you had a conversation with that person, you might find out that maybe they voted reform. But you were still interested, and then you have to go, okay, why? What led you to that point? What got you there? Like, I'm not saying I have to like that you voted reform. I don't like it. I don't think it's great. It's not my favorite thing. But I need to understand, if I'm going to play you one day, if one day I'm going to be cast as the person standing on the side of the road in the red hat, I need to know how you got there. And I'm not going to know how you got there without compassion, because compassion lends itself to curiosity and asking questions and dialogue. So I'm going to have to start there. And it's hard to start there. It's not easy. but it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one that I think many people would benefit from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Little random questions at the end. What
Yeah.
makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? Friggin' hell, anything. A really well-timed, like, ridiculous sentence, like pointing out the obvious, that will make me laugh. Raccoons make me laugh. Otters make me laugh. Raccoons make me laugh so much. They're so stupid.
Yeah, I heard that you love raccoons.
I love raccoons. I love them so much. And silliness. I try to bring as much silliness into life. It's too short. It's too short. We're stupid flesh things. We need to laugh as much as possible. So I think, what makes me laugh is the natural world. It's very cute. It's very absurd. Yeah.
What do you think about talent?
What do I think about talent? I think it can be nurtured in anyone, personally. Talent is just directed curiosity, like focused, intentional, like applied curiosity over and over and over and over and over again, you know? Because the kid who picks up the violin the first time he ever picks it up, or they pick it up, can't play it for shit. But they play it for 3-4 years, and by the end of it, they're doing Mozart. And then people go, oh, how talented you are. But when they started, they couldn't play a single note.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, talent is a thing, but I think it's a thing that's nurtured and it's focused intention repetitively. And if you keep doing that, eventually you're going to build an aptitude at a thing, you know?
Do you like to go to the supermarket, and why?
No, I don't. I used to love it. I used to love going to the supermarket at like 1 a.m. because it's really empty and that's when they refresh the stock. But I don't like going to the supermarket anymore.
Any reason, or?
No, I'm tired. And now I just shop online. I'm tired. I'm too tired. I don't like leaving my house. I'm exhausted. So I want the things to come to me.
If you could live a parallel life, what would you do?
If I could live a parallel life, what would I do? I remember when I was a kid, I said I wanted to be a scientist, and then my grandmother was like, you don't have the grades for that. So, shade. No. She said it with love. She knew that I was good at the arts, and that was the right thing for me to do. I had no business being a scientist. But yeah, if I had a parallel life and I was good at maths, I probably would have been a scientist. I'm just curious about how stuff works.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would it be?
If I could have dinner with anyone, who would it be? Probably Nina Simone.
Oh.
I'm just fascinated by that mind and that life led and what it would be to be able to capture a zeitgeist and a community's story and era so intricately. Yeah.
And to finish with, do you have any dream for the future?
Do I have any dream for the future? Rest and a farm. I dream of rest. I dream of softness and a farm with some goats on it and a little baba and making my own cheese.
Oh.
I don't know. And learning how to do sourdough. I don't know. I want a little homestead and I want peace and quiet. That's what I dream of.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Unati. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you have a really wonderful day.
You too.